Good afternoon, happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash, and today we are here with Savage Saturday Comic Review, episode 72. And the book we're reviewing today is Conan, The Ravagers Out of Time. Got the extra copy right here. And a fun little story featuring the characters Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, and King Kull. Coming together again, and as you know, they have in the past. But Rotath is not a new villain to either guy. And either Barbarian or Red Sonja. And way back in 1974, in the Neal Adams cover and penned issue, Rotath shows up in here in a great little story called Curse of the Golden Skull, which involves the wizard, Conan, a character named Juma, and a giant slug. So, with a taste for gold. But again, a great issue, and this is Rotath right here. We'll get up close so you can see him. So pretty cool looking wizard, and certainly a fun issue. One I've read, of course, had Neal Adams doing the interior art, so that was amazing as well. But then he also appeared in a 3-part story in Savage Sword of Conan, where he was fighting King Kull, and that was issues 231. 232 and 233. Right near the end of the run. As we know, this ended it with blah blah blah. As we know, this ended with issue 235. Whew. Those pesky words, man, they'll get you every time. So all those stories lead up to this graphic novel. And those Savage Sword of Conan issues were 1995. Alright, so leads up to this story right here. And great little story. We have an awesome cover by Bob Larkin, who did quite a few famous Conan the Barbarian covers. Most notably the one with the shark underwater with Conan. So right there, nice beauty. And we have the story by Roy Thomas with interior art by Michael Dougherty and inks by Alfredo Alcala, who's always going to make your pencils look better. And little look at the front, nice little text. Really like how they did like the parchment. Just a real great looking cover, great looking back cover. And the interiors are beautiful too. Alright, so our story opens up and you have this Turanian army which is going through this gorge, and you got the captain leading them through, and you got the other guys. They're kind of hesitant about it. They say that they fear an ambush. The guy says he had his scouts go through. It's clear, nothing to fear. But as you can see, Conan and crew are crouching in the shadows, waiting to spring their trap. All right, so as we move to the next page. The one guy that's warning their captain of the guard takes an arrow through the eye, and his life is forfeit. And then a quick battle ensues. And you have Conan's hordes and the Free Companions fighting against this Turanian army, and there's no love lost there. But the Turanians kind of mercilessly trying to take over all the territories, and the Free Companions just trying to live and eke out an existence. Now, Conan's crew, they kind of got their arms up and they're saying, let's get these cowards. Conan's warning them to be cautious because the Turanians, they aren't turning tail and running. They're facing them full on in battle. And Conan doesn't want overconfidence to cost the life of one of his Free Companions. Yes, they're in a battle. There's going to be some life lost, but it need not be lost needlessly. Alright, so Conan himself, though, while trying to lead, gets caught with his back to an opponent who has an arrow poised on him. And Conan turns to face him and just challenges him, if you're going to shoot, then shoot. Don't jabber me to death. Something Conan would say. He doesn't take well to being threatened. But before he knows it, a spear goes through this guy, and saved by none other than his old companion and fellow soldier and sword arm Red Sonja. All right, she is there, and Conan and her group up, help the rest of the free companions defeat their training army. There's 3 people left, and they take them on as free companions. They offer them death or a place in their soldiery. And it's kind of how Conan goes about things. Whenever they're raiding or they're fighting people, if they're survivors, he offers them the chance, and it keeps his army restocked. Now, they're after a bit of gold, and Conan and Red Sonja are talking, and, you know, she said that she had designs on the gold. She actually has the gold. It's in this carriage that she was guarding. And in this carriage is a pick named Gunnar. And Conan has no love for picks. He does, however, have a love for the gold that's in there. Gunnar tries to introduce himself and lets him know that him and Conan and Red Sonja, they have ties to each other. Conan just shoves him aside with no regard for him and no respect, and just goes for the gold. And once he's got some, the chests are locked. Nothing, a few swings of the sword can't take care of the locks, and he sits there and he gives some of it out to the free companions. And then by the campfire that night, they're discussing the plan of if they should or should not go to these mines where no one thinks they know exactly where they are to find this treasure. They think they'll just get lost forever, but Conan lets them know that he thinks he knows where the mines are. And he knows that because of the events that happened in issue 37. But he has one of the Turanians that just came on and one of his crew, which are battling back and forth fighting. They're not really accepting each other. But Conan ignores it, finally puts an end to it, says his word goes, and so it does. And the next morning, Conan lets him, well, not the next morning, we're jumping ahead. Conan lets him know by this campsite that he knows, or at least thinks he has a great idea of where these mines with the fabled gold are. And Conan tells him the events that happened way back in issue 37 of Conan the Barbarian. How him and Juma ended up prisoners and trying to save the princess. I forgot her name. It was Yezdagar's daughter. I can't remember her name right now. Yolinda, Princess Yolinda. So they were saving her. They got captured by Rotath. They were made to work in the mines. They escaped. Eventually led to Rotath's death as they let the slug out and the slug devoured him, and they were able to escape with Princess Yolinda and return her safely to King Yezdegard. But while they were working there, this giant slug, it feeds off gold, and those mines were filled with gold. And Conan thinks that those are the fabled mines they're talking about. And it's something he hasn't thought about in 10 years' time since escaping those mines with his life intact, and luckily so. But 10 years have passed, and he thinks it's a little bit safer to go back. So they set out, and him and Sonja have a little remembering and a little sharing. And Conan says that the princess was nice, she was young, and that he led her safely to her father and returned her unscathed, untouched, and nothing bad happened to her. And they're just having a friend's conversation, catching up. And as you can tell, the art throughout this is beautiful. So they arrive, they set out the next morning, and after a few days' journey, they actually arrived back at the site where the tower was, where Rotath was originally defeated by Conan by leading the giant slug out, and it devoured him instead of them. But it is in ruins. More ruins than it should be for 10 years, so there's something going on there, and Conan's not quite sure what. So as they lead on, Conan's taken them through the decimated city, and then they find the tunnels, and they enter those tunnels, only to quickly see that one of his crew is stabbed in the back by the 3 Turanians they let join their army. And then, of course, those 3 are threatening them with their lives if they don't let them have the gold. Conan says, sure, go ahead, you can have the gold. And they leave down the tunnels with the torches, leaving Conan and crew in the dark. Sonja's pretty pissed at Conan at this point, thinking he's just given up. But Conan's like, trust me, just wait a minute. Because Conan's feeling this out. He knows what could lie in there, because he was here 10 years ago. And then running out to go with the bodies that they had passed coming in the cave. You see the three guys that went in there to go for the gold. Only one of them's coming back out alive and screaming, covered in slime, and it's dissolving his body. It's an acidic thing, and he falls dead. And that's when Conan all of a sudden hears this great screaming in his head, as does everybody else. It says trespassers, intruders, interlopers. And it's the guy he had slain, Rotath. And now what they didn't realize, what Conan didn't realize, is that this giant slug that ate gold, ate Rotath's skeleton, which was made of gold. So it was part of what, he was a wizard and he had a golden skeleton. And so having swallowed his skeleton whole, Rotath was able to take control of this slug, and now he kind of runs the slug's body, and the slug itself has turned a golden hue, and it's chasing Conan and the three companions out of the cave. Now, this wizard, he wants gold, and it's all he can think about. His thoughts are fractured. A human's mind was not meant to encompass a slug's body, so he's fractured. He's not quite sane, and he's been 10 years in the body of a slug. But he's saying that he needs a human body to encompass, and he says he wants the greatest warrior of all time. And Conan, of course, being a bit cocky and full of himself, thinks it's him, until Rotath puts in their mind, because he's speaking to their minds, that it's King Kull. And but that it's Kull. Rotath, having been slain by Kull in the past, did not know that Kull eventually went on to become king of Valusia. And so he's pretty mad about that, and he wants to go back in time, and he wants to slay Kull and take over his body. So he casts a great spell. Well, first he tells them about what happened, and this is the events in Savage Sword of Conan, and how his golden body was left on the steps after being slain. Alright, so get some more good art. And then the slug, being controlled by Rotath and Rotath's mind, casts this spell which takes them back in time. It only takes back Conan and Red Sonja on purpose, because he wants Conan's help in finding Kull, and he wants Sonja there, for as he becomes human again, taking over another one's body, he wants her as his mate. So once they're back in the time, back in Valusia, back in that time, in the long lost Lemuria, he was lording over the apes, the ape men. And the ape men, kind of like Planet of the Apes, right? They're smart, evolved apes. And he has them capture and hold Conan and Sonja. But they're being spied upon by Kull's faithful friend, Brule the Spear Slayer, and him and the Red Slayers, Kull's personal guard, run back to Valusia to tell King Kull what's going on. He knows nothing of Red Sonja or Conan. And Kull, back at his palace, is just bored to tears being a king right now, and is all too eager to answer the call to arms once Brule arrives and says that the Ape Lords and Rotath are back and are going to march on Valusia, and that they're assembling an army and building machines to take over. So out they ride. Now, we head back and we're in the camp again. And Sonja's talking to one of the Ape Lord guards and letting him know, like, look, this guy's only trying to use you. Free us, let us help you fight. He doesn't care about your future, he only wants his plans. The Ape guard's not really listening to her, but some of the message is sinking in. And then the slug comes and enters their minds again, telling them that they need to listen, and that he wants Conan to go capture Kull, which Conan says, do your work yourself, I'm no one's pawn. But then, using his magic, he starts tossing Sonja around and just breaking her body up. She's got cuts. And then he promises that if Conan doesn't help him, the next step is letting the Ape Lords at her to have their their brutish pleasure with her. So Conan doesn't want to see Conan raped at the hands of the Ape Lords, and agrees, even though he doesn't want to go capture Kull for Rotath. And as you can see, the colors, the art, are really good. So once Conan gets to camp, he looks in and he sees Gunnar there, and he can't believe his eyes. And he thinks it's just a descendant or an ancestor of Gunnar's, going by the same name. And Gunnar is telling Kull that he needs time to work a spell. Little does Kull realize, and neither does Conan, that he needs centuries to work this spell. And that the Gunnar that Conan was so offhanded about, it was actually still working that spell, knowing that they would come back in time, and this is when he would complete it. So there's a lot going on here, a lot that Kull and Conan don't know about. And then Kull sneaks up, takes out Brule the Spear Slayer, doesn't kill him, just knocks him out, and of course sneaks up behind Kull and captures him and rides back to the camp wearing Kull's cape, so he's not stopped by Kull's guards or anything, and because they look so much alike, no one questions it. Once back to camp, the Rotath can't decide which body he wants to embody more, so he makes Conan and Kull fight each other to the death, and he's going to take the body that's left, the victor, because he's not sure which one has the stronger body or the stronger will, and he wants the strongest, and he wants to encompass that body, and then take Red Sonja as his own to rule. So, under threat of killing Red Sonja, these guys are forced to fight each other. And you have Conan, who is sometimes called Amber the Lion, with his lion totem, fighting King Ko with his tiger totem. And you got two barbarians going at each other. Just a great, spectacular battle. One not getting in over the other. Sonja's begging them to not fight for her and just let her die. And the words are falling. Both of their bloodlust is up, and those two are just battling it out. And they're really going at each other, even though they kind of don't want to, but once their rage is up. You got them both opening wounds on the other, until Kull, not having his own axe, his axe breaks, and he's at the mercy of Conan. And Kull says, go ahead and just end it. You know, you who are a coward working for this worm. And Conan doesn't like killing a guy over a faulty axe. And Rotath, it's just like, just kill him. You know, I'm going to take your body, you live for eternity. And Conan's like, what good's eternity when it's not my mind and my body? And he slings the axe at Rotath. Of course, it does no harm to him. And Sonja is still trying to get free this whole time. But the Red Slayers and the Black Legion are marching forward to help join the battle. And Sonja is just watching as death rains down upon the Ape Lords and the Red Slayers and Black Legion all together. Until at last she gets unexpected help from the one Ape Lord she was talking to, and he frees her. But it instantly costs him his life because Rotath saw it and instantly murders the ape. And there's very few of them left. So as we go, they're just fighting Rotath, trying to buy time. And as you can see here in these panels, he's been chanting, Gunnar's been chanting this spell for a while, and he just needs Kull, Sonja, and Conan to keep the worm busy without dying until the spell can be finished. And the battle's going, blood on the swords, people falling all around them, and then finally the spell is completed. He says, now let the will of all-powerful Valka be done. Conan slew the last Ape Lord and put the blood on the worm, and it was a blood spell that Gunnar was casting, and once the blood's on him, he was able to explode the worm and expel the golden skeleton of the wizard Rotath, leaving him decimated and dead once again. And then you had Kull, Gunnar, Sonja, and Conan just talking to each other and wondering how they're going to get back. And Gunnar says, don't worry, the magic energies that brought you here are now dissipating with his death, and they'll soon take you back. And they start to fade as they go. And then you get a nice little barb on the last page as once Conan and Sonya return and see their Gunnar there. And they're seem a bit confused. She says she might have stayed and lain with Cole. And Conan's like, but what about the oath you've always waved in my face? Not to mate with any man who hasn't defeated you in battle. She goes, oh, that vow was made 8,000 years after Cole's time. So who knows? And just a little joke at the end. Her ribbing on Conan, who's always had a thing for her, but always had a respect for her. And overall, a great conclusion to all these stories with Rotap that led up to this issue. And of course, all Roy Thomas written, so really fun stuff. My favorite writer, my favorite adapter, and beautiful art by Michael Dougherty. Incredible inks by Alfred Alcala, and I don't know who did the colors, but I really enjoyed the colors in this too. Let's take a look. Well, the letters were good too by John Costanza, and color by Tom Vincent. So overall, a great issue. This is a hard book to find, or sometimes if you do find it, there's people wanting $60 to $80 for it. I was lucky to get 2 of them for $10 each. So when I did finally find them, I grabbed them and I got to read this for the first time. And just a lot of fun. But that's it for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's Savage Saturday comic review. And until next time, keep it casual.